Hello everyone, happy Saturday! It's the weekend, you know what that means. Today's coffee is actually some dark, I think I made it too strong, coffee. Some vanilla almond milk, a little bit of Hershey's syrup, and some Splenda. It's doing the job today. It is. Now, we're going to chat a little bit today. I'm Steve, Marc is at work, and this is Smokey Steve and Marc. It's sad without Marc here. But he did have a chance to check in right before he left, so I'm going to insert that here.
Hi guys, Marc here. I am just about ready to leave for work, but I thought I would just pop in and say hello. So, hello. It's Saturday, and it's a beautiful day here in Scranton. It's sunny, it's almost 80 degrees, and I'll be stuck at work. Well, even though I work, I still love the weekend, so I really hope everybody's having a great weekend. Are you? I'll be back tomorrow, though, because I'm off. As a matter of fact, I have a string about 3 or 4 days off in a row, so you get me every day this week. Lucky you, right? Not. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say hello. I'm just about ready to leave, and I hope that you will enjoy Steven's video today. I think it's an interesting topic. I can't wait to see it myself. So I'm not going to take any more time because, as always, I'm running late, so I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Wasn't that nice? At least he's here in spirit. So what I wanted to chat about today was the idea of opposites attracting. I had a comment on one of the videos. I forget who it was, but they'll remind me, I'm sure, that Marc and I, as a couple, were like a good fit because we were like right brain, left brain, like the creative and the analytical. And I was chatting actually with Marc about that a little bit, and that's how this topic came up. Marc and I are actually very different people in many aspects of our lives, and then very similar, and I guess the ones that matter. So it's kind of like the odd couple a little bit. That's a pattern of mine, to have kind of an opposites attract sort of thing with my exes too. Now, I think what came to a head with a lot of them was that the differences were so different that things just fell through. So I jotted down a few of my exes. I'm not going to name names, of course. I'm not going to drag them, even though some of them have it coming. But just to point out a few things. Now, the first relationship I was in, I was 18. So, you know, guy could have been the elephant man and I would have been head over heels. That would have been a difference. But I tended to, he was very much larger than life. I was just recently out during the course of that relationship. I was 18, and he was way out, like Richard Simmons out, at least in mannerisms and behavior. And it caught me off guard, but there was something attractive about it. Probably because I wanted to feel that comfortable in my own skin or something. But that created a rift too, because I was much more reserved. I was much more, I don't know, shy isn't really the right word, I suppose, but that became a difference because I wasn't that social, and I was becoming jealous of him being social, and then I don't know, it didn't work out in that way. But that difference was such a glaring difference that things kind of parted ways. The next guy I was with, it was funny. I kind of thought he was too nice for me. He was so nice and cared about other people and was so thoughtful. And I was a selfish gay 19-year-old. Not that there aren't selfish straight 19-year-olds either, but I was very catty. There weren't too many periods of my life where I'd refer to myself as catty. I was quite catty. And he was so kind and thoughtful. And the disparity was shocking to me at the time. In hindsight, I thought, God, I was such a dick, you know. But so that didn't work out. There was also some other opposites. I mean, that was a long distance, primarily relationship. And, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But after a long period of time, the absence made me sick, you know. And it was just then at that point that the whole world started getting cell phones. Everyone was like switching from Blackberries to cell phones, and everyone had that Nokia with the hard antenna that sticks you in the ribs. And that's the way we were communicating, and then the phone calls just stopped. So the differences and the opposites, our opposite way of approaching. My idea, if there's a relationship problem, is to try to talk, not disappear for 6 months, and then come back like nothing happened with one quick apology. So our approach to that didn't work. The next guy I lived with, again, bigger than life, very social. It's not really how I roll, except when I would drink. Um, he was very hardworking. He was incredibly self-disciplined, and that was a point in my life when I was not. I was drinking my way through a couple semesters of college, and I just wasn't really into my schoolwork. I would take just enough classes to not be kicked out of being full time. I had to take summer classes to make up for it. And he was so efficient and such an adult. And he was, I think, 2 years younger than me, actually. Um, and that was attractive to me, someone who has their stuff together, because I clearly didn't at the time. Um, and I was drawn to that. But this happened also in the relationships I'm in. I meet someone who's an opposite in a lot of ways, interests, appearance, locations, whatever. And I'll try to close the gap and start to almost turn into the person a little bit. The last example, well, the last two examples, the person I was with who was hyper responsible, I started creeping towards that. But as I crept towards that, my personality changed too. Pretty much I fall on the spectrum when it comes to self-esteem and relationships with, please like me, I'll do whatever you ask me to do, just don't leave. That was my pretty much my approach to dating and relationships. And then the last one I was in before I met Marc, I got into it. I was younger, the guy was older. I'm a Yankee, he was from the South. He was in like law school, which was very big deal to me. I'm very working class, and he was, I thought, very rich. That turned out not to be the case. And there was just a lot of differences. We did have some common ground with some of the problems we had, and that came up later in the relationship. So it was actually our similarities that drove us apart. Again, as the gap closed and we became more alike, it was less complementary. Like, you think the more you have in common and the more you become like the other person, the easier the relationship gets. But I would tend to lose myself in those. Now, with Marc and I, we have, a decent bit of stuff in common. We have an interest in food. He's a chef. I used to have an eating disorder, so we got that. Politically, we're pretty much on the same page. In terms of spirituality or religion or anything like that, we're different. But I don't judge what he does spiritually. I'm not as much for like stuff around the house, like, whether it's a crucifix or a relic or sage or candles or anything from any tradition. I don't have that stuff. If Marc wasn't here, it wouldn't be here. And not because I'm opposed to it, I just don't decorate, which goes into the next point. Marc's very creative. Marc, keeps a very clean, well-decorated home for the two of us. If it was just me, this would probably be like a clean futon mattress on the ground. Probably a television. There'd be wires everywhere. I wouldn't have banded because I never would have felt comfortable getting a cat because I don't know how to take care of one. I never had one. Marc takes the reins with doing a lot of the stuff with the animal. He has a better relationship with Bandit because I guess he has more of like a nurturing vibe than I do. Maybe I'm a little more mommy dearest. I don't know about that. The big differences that we had actually early in the relationship were priorities. And we were in couples therapy for about a year. We were maybe 6 months into dating, or into the relationship proper. And we decided to go to couples therapy because our priorities, we found out upon doing our homework. We did all the couples therapy homework, and it really helped, actually. I know, Pollyanna, fix it yourself. Why don't you just drink instead? But it did work. And we had to list our top 3 priorities for the relationship. And number 1 for both of us was different. His priority in life, rather, was the relationship. Mine was my sanity. Because I have a mental illness, and I figure if I'm insane, I can't do the relationship anyway. So I need to keep myself well. Which, and then it was like, well, I care about you. I was like, more than your health and yourself. So all these conversations had to happen back and forth. And it was through a lot of the communicating we realized that we think about things really differently. But we also found out what was a deal breaker and what wasn't, too. So we don't have a lot of those, really. Other differences. That yard, that would not be a garden if I was here by myself. Again, the creative stuff. I like the home he created, but I would never do it myself. But I like that it's been done. You know, you might consider that saying that Marc's very active and I'm very lazy. I would have decorated if I knew how. You know, if I didn't think it would look like a profoundly stupid man had done it. So I don't know about all that. It wouldn't have went well. And then there's just the basics of Marc and I being different. We have an age difference of about 12 years, I guess. I'm taller than Marc. That's not a huge difference. I'm like 3 or 4 inches taller than he is. He's blonde, blue, green eyes. My family looks a little more Addams Family-esque. We have dark eyes and dark hair. He's from a major city. I grew up in a very small town. We do have in common that we're both have a history of addiction and addiction treatment and getting through and living life in recovery. We do have different drugs of choice, so that creates different concerns either direction. We do have terms in our relationship because we both have history with addiction, what we agree to if one or the other one were to relapse for any sort of reason. So we have plans in place of what to do. It would look different though if I were to relapse than it would probably if Marc were to, because our drugs of choice are different. They would the symptoms manifest a lot differently. So there's some differences there, but having another person with addiction to talk to, they get those crazy things that you say where people are like, why don't you just quit? I can look at Marc and I say, I'm craving whatever today. I'm just irritable today. I hate people today. And you can sit there and talk about yourself and be very self-centered for an hour. And another addict will understand that that's part of you just being a self-centered, addict. Being self-centered is not exclusive to people with addiction, but it seems to be quite prevalent, at least in my experience. So Marc gets that, which is helpful. So having that common ground, that similarity does support things. So I never, ever, ever thought I'd wind up with a guy like Marc. Ever. Ever. Thank God he's at work. This should have been I can't wait till he watches this. But I did land well, because Marc and I have enough differences that are complementary, enough similarities that overlap. The one thing we have in common is that we care about each other a lot. So that pretty much makes up for a lot of the other stuff. The other stuff that used to seem like deal breakers isn't really a deal breaker anymore. So the opposites just make things interesting. He can go garden. I'll watch YouTube while he's in the yard. So thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And by the way, welcome to any new viewers. We had a bit of a pop in growth lately, so thank you for stopping by. Please feel free to browse at all the other content. You can follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc or on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc. Our email and contact information is also below, so feel free to check it out. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up with y'all soon. Bye.